I'm about to get started on another day of Christmas cooking in the kitchen. On my list today, the first thing I'm getting started with is Christmas cookies. I want to make Granny's sugar cookies that we make every year. I'll tell you more about those in a minute. And then I want to make some pralines. I make pralines every year at Christmas, buttermilk pralines. They're so good. And I also want to make, the other day when I was doing all my candy making and cooking, I didn't get to make my coconut BonBons, which is super, super easy. So I want to do those today. One other thing I want to help Corey do is she wants to make some rolls to take with her to Austin's family. They're going to spend Christmas with them. So she'd like to take some rolls with them, go ahead and freeze them, and then just have them there ready to set out to rise on Christmas morning so they can eat them with Austin's family. So she went and run an errand for me, her and Matt, but when she gets back, we'll do that too. I might get started and go ahead and make the first step of those, make my oatmeal, and get that started. I have recipes for all these things that I'm going to make today, so I'll be sure to link to them in the description below so you can go and read all the recipe, and not have to worry about jotting stuff down or if I leave steps out, since I'm just going to be cooking all day. But first, for the sugar cookies, I've got out my trusty little blue spiral notebook that Granny gave me when me and Matt first got married, that she had so many of the things that she loves to make wrote down in. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And the sugar cookies is definitely in there. And when I was real little, Granny made them, and I loved it because they're good, they're tasty, but also she would use food coloring and make the different colors sugar different colors, and then decorate with them. And it was just so fun to help her, and so amazing to play, cut out the cookies and then put the little sugar on it. And I just loved it. And Paul liked it too. I don't really remember Steve helping us do it. Steve was always like he was already an adult, even though he was a young like us. He's 5 years older than me, so he is older. Anyway, at some point, Granny, I guess, got tired of fooling with all that, and she told me and Paul we were big enough to make them. So from then on, every year, me and Paul made them, and we had so much fun. We enjoyed the whole process just like we did when we were smaller. And of course, the cookies are good to eat, but we also, were really silly and just laughed and cut up and had a big time. Well, once I had Corey and Katie and was married, me and Matt, I wanted to start making them myself, and I did. In the beginning, of course, Corey and Katie was too little to help me. But once they got big enough, I wanted them to help me every year so that they'd have those same memories like I did. And every year I'd be so excited about, it's cookie making day, and it's going to be great, and it's going to be fantastic, and I'd get them all excited. And by the end of our cookie making, I think, why do I do this? Why? They make such a mess, and it just turns into a disaster. Why do I do this? Why don't I just do it myself? All these years later, I am glad that I did it every year. And by the next Christmas, I would forget about all the mess and probably the fussing that went on or whatever, and we'd do it again. Of course, when they got older, they were silly even when they were little, but when they got a little bit older, they were really silly. And one year it evolved into them making, instead of using our cookie cutters, they started making up their own things like sideburn cookies and things like that. So after that, I think every year somebody had to make a sideburn, just in memory of the year they got so silly. So the first step, though, I need to make up the dough and then put them in the refrigerator and let them chill before we can actually roll them out and cut them. I love sugar cookies. They're all good. I don't think I've ever had a bad one, but I especially love this one because it has orange zest in it, so it gives a little brightness to the sugar cookie. I'll read this off, but again, I'll put the link in the description below. But 2/3 cup shortening, 3/4 cup sugar, 1/2 teaspoon grated orange peel, 1/2 teaspoon vanilla, 1 egg, 4 teaspoons of milk, 2 cups sifted all-purpose flour, 1 1/2 teaspoon baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon salt. And then we're going to cream the shortening in the sugar, beat it till it's light and fluffy, add the eggs, and then we're going to sift all the dry ingredient together. Actually, let me just read it. It'd be better because I'll for sure leave something out. We're going to thoroughly cream shortening and sugar, orange peel, and vanilla. See, I would have already left that out. Add egg, beat till light and fluffy, stir in milk, sift together dry ingredients, blend in cream mixture, divide dough in half. Let's turn over, see what Granny says. Chill once you get it all comes together in a dough, then into a ball of dough, divide it in half, put it in the refrigerator for 1 hour. On lightly floured surface, roll to 1/8 inch, cut in desired shapes with cutter, bake in greased cookie sheet at 375 for about 6 to 8 minutes, cool slightly, makes 2 dozen. When cutting shapes, press with colored sugar and makes real pretty cookies. That's what I love. That's what Granny wrote. And it does make real pretty cookies. So I'm going to get out my mixer and get all this mixed together, put it in the refrigerator, and then we'll be on to the next one. Now I'm ready to make my pralines. This is the recipe I use. It's Buttermilk Pralines, and again I'll put the link in the description below. But I found it in when Corey and Katie were little, like toddlers, we had a Bilo in Murphy, and Bilo had a little cart, like a we call them buggies, shopping buggy, that had 2 little seats behind the basket, the big large cart area where all your groceries go, and you could strap your kids in there. So I shopped at Bilo so I could take Corey and Katie with me, but I could sit them in those little seats, because if I put them both in the cart, in the buggy, as we would say, there wasn't room for the rest of my groceries. So once I heard about that buggy, that special one they had at Bilo, I thought, well, that's where I'll do my shopping. And I liked Bilo. It's no longer there anymore. Anyway, at Christmas they would hand out these little circulars, little magazine type things with coupons and then with recipes. And so I read this recipe and thought, that sounds really good and I want to try to make it. So I did, and they were such a hit that the Presley family and my family just loved them, and I've made them every Christmas since. But when I look at the one that's actually in my cookbook, that I made here, my handmade cookbook, I always think of Corey and Katie sitting in those little seats. That way I could, put my groceries in the buggy, but also keep them from getting away from me in the store. Often when I'm making them, I double the recipe, but I'm not going to do that today. But I have done that. Usually that's what I do, and it works out good every time. It's one of those candies that's kind of difficult in that you have to get it to a certain temperature, and then before you start dropping them, it needs to cool to a certain temperature. It doesn't really tell you the temperature. You just need to, after you make them, it's just one of those things, the more you make them, the more you realize the exact moment you need to start dropping them. And there's been years that I made it and I had to just scrape it all up and boil it a little bit more. But anyway, it's really worth the effort though. But the recipe is you need 2 cups of sugar, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 cup of buttermilk, 3/4 cup butter, 2 cups of pecan halves, or large pieces, small. I've used chopped ones. Today I've got halves, but I've used all of it over the years, but 2 cups, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And first we're going to put the sugar, the soda, the salt, and the buttermilk in a large saucepan and cook it over high heat, stirring constantly until mixture comes to a boil. And then you're going to continue boiling it and stirring until the mixture begins to thicken and becomes slightly creamy at 210 on your thermometer, on your candy thermometer. As you're stirring this, sometimes it pops up on you, so a lot of times if it starts doing that, I'll put one of my oven mitts on and wire it while I'm actually doing the stirring. But now we're going to add those first things in and get started. Sugar. This is my sody and my salt. And here's my buttermilk. We'll let it cook until it comes to a boil. So we're at 210 for sure. Now we're going to add our butter without getting burned there. And our pecans all at once. So that cooled down the mixture some, adding the butter and the pecans, but now we're going to let it continue to cook until it gets back up to even past 210. We're going to go to 234 this time. on the candy thermometer. I'm just using a little digital thermometer. I had candy ones for many years. I had one that Miss Cindy bought me that I used, gosh, probably 10 or 15 years until it finally just quit working. I don't know what happened to it exactly. Once it starts to get closer to being finished, it quits popping so bad, so you can take off your mitt if you're using one, or you can leave it on too, either one. Let's see what we're at. It smells so good. I wish you could smell some of it. We're getting close. Oh yeah. About at 220. So we'll keep stirring. You can see it's turning that lovely caramel color. This part seems to take forever, but it goes really quick. All of a sudden it'll be right at 234. So you just have to keep checking. Of course, if you've got a candy thermometer, you can just keep an eye on it if you're not using one like me. And I'm sure if you're really great, you could just tell by looking. I'm just not that good. I mean, people that's what they had to do in the old days when they made candy. Just go on site. Okay, we're at 234, so now we're going to remove it from the heat, and we're going to add our vanilla. Smells so good. Now that we've got that stirred in, we're going to let it cool for 2 minutes, and then we're going to continue to stir it till it loses its gloss, and then we'll be ready to dip it out. Let it cool. Okay, it's been 2 minutes. Now this is the part that's hard to know. You can see how glossy it is. And there's just you're supposed to stir it until it begins to lose that gloss. And that's when you know it's ready to put out onto you can use parchment paper, aluminum foil, whatever you'd like. Wax paper. Just to drop it out by rounded teaspoons or tablespoons, ever how big you want your pralines to be. When it gets to that last stage, like I was saying, it seems like it takes forever, and then all of a sudden it's at 234. And it's really sad, but it's easy to scorch it, and I have done that before. So one of those candy thermometers does work better, because then you're not trying to balance it with both hands like I was doing. So you just have to be careful there at the end that you don't let it scorch, because then of course it would give it all a bad flavor. It's getting there. It's getting harder to stir, and it's losing its gloss a little bit. Okay, it's ready for me to start putting out now. Got them all put out. Now we just have to wait for them to get hard enough that we can eat them. They're so hot right now, but it's so tempting to try to find a little piece. Let me see. Here's a little tiny piece I dropped. They're so good. Corey and Katie, when they were little, one Christmas, they started telling me, "Mama, are you going to make the brown things?" I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." "Are you going to make the brown things, Mama? The brown things. You got to make the brown things." And it took me a while to figure out they were talking about the pralines. So I'm going to clean up, get started on my next one, which I think the coconut BonBons is what I'll do next. And then I'll be ready to make all those wonderful cookies. I'm gonna eat me some dinner though, and then maybe these, while I'm doing all that, these will have hardened enough that I can move them out of the way and put them somewhere. I'm gonna have to get somebody else to help me taste them though, for sure. Had some dinner, took a little rest. Now I'm ready to start again. My pralines are ready to, they've hardened up so that I can actually put them in something to store them. And we've already tasted them and they're really good. Matt couldn't resist, and then I ate one with my dinner too. They are really, really good. If you think of brown sugar type stuff, then you would like them. It has like that nutty caramel flavor of sugar. The buttermilk adds something to it too though, makes them really, really creamy. So they're not like a chewy, like think of taffy or something like that. They're a softer, kind of melt in your mouth, kind of sugary treat. Really, really good. I think they're all gonna fit in here. I was afraid they wouldn't. They would. Maybe. What I did with my lid. Let's see. I think they will. There's those. Now I'll clean up my mess here. I can't resist eating the little crumbs though. At least that one. Now the next thing, I'm about ready to start on the cookies. But one other thing I want to do is the coconut BonBons. I love coconut. I was like Granny and Pat. When I was growing up, they loved it. So I guess that's where my great love of coconut come from. I've got all my ingredients sitting out here. See, here's my coconut. Now I found this recipe several years ago on the Pinch of Yum, I think was the name of the blog. I'll put that link in the description below so you can go see how she makes it and all her details about it. But I've been making it ever since. It's really easy and just really, really tasty. So this is what the ingredients that you need. But again, I'm going to put that link so you can go over there, and I think she's even got a printable recipe that you could print out. But 2 cups of desiccated coconut. I had no clue what that was till I found this recipe. It means it's just really fine chopped up coconut. So over the years I've used sweetened coconut. I've also used like the just dried coconut that doesn't have any sugar in it. Both of them are good, so that's just personal preference, what you decide. But I put mine in the food processor and just process it till it's fine, till it's little fine little pieces. I guess I could try to show you. Let's see. So when you think of the coconut, you know, in the pieces, Matt likes to say like toenails. This is more like little tiny pieces. Little, where it's been chopped up. There, I see I've got something in there. Must have already been in my bowl. Put it right there. Anyway, so that's 2 cups of desiccated coconut. You need 4 tablespoons of either honey or maple syrup. I usually use honey because we keep honey often. I mean all the time for tea and to eat with biscuits and things like that. So I always have honey. So that's what I'm using. 5 tablespoons of coconut oil. And I think that really helps to make this a bonbon that really is coconutty. Tastes really coconutty. 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I have that over there. 4 ounces dark chocolate for melting. You could use milk chocolate, semi-sweet, whatever you would want. So the other thing that I add, and I don't think that I can't remember, but you can jump over there and look at her recipe, is that I put like a drop or 2 of coconut extract just because I love for it to taste really, really coconutty. So the first thing is I've done pulse my coconut to get it in those little bitty pieces. And then I've got it in a bowl. I'm going to mix the honey and the maple syrup and the coconut oil, all of it together with the coconut. And then we're going to squeeze since I'm using the extract, I'll do that. So basically you're going to mix everything but the chocolate. Then you're going to form them in little balls and put them on a tray or something and put them in a refrigerator and let them harden. Let's see if she says, if I say how many, about 30 minutes. I've probably done it and waited way longer than that, and done this and waited way less than that, probably 15 minutes. So, but 30 minutes at least. You just want it to that coconut oil hardens back up, so then the little ball is harder. Then when you get them out, you're going to melt the chocolate and just dip them in the chocolate. And then once you do that and set them out to kind of harden, that's it. That's how you, that's how you make the candy. So first I'm gonna put all my stuff together and get me a tray or something that I can put my little balls on. Okay, wash my hands really good, because most of the time I think it just works better to mix it with your hands, but especially when you're doing the balls, you're gonna have to use your hands. Here's my honey. It's gonna drip on me. Try to get it all off the side there. And the vanilla. And the coconut oil. And like I said, optional, but I'm going to put a drop or two of coconut extract. I don't think that she had that in her recipe. Woo, I may have put more than a drop. That'll be okay. I love coconut. Okay, now we're just going to mix it all together. So once I get it pretty well mixed up, I like to just go ahead and start trying to use my hands, since I'm going to be doing that anyway to make the balls. The coconut oil, depending on how cold your house is, may really be, solidified, but just the warmth of your hands will make it melt and let you incorporate it easier if it is something that, if your house is cold and it's hard. Mine's not that hard at all today, but if it gets really cold in the house, it gets hard as a brick. And that's why this recipe works so well, is because once your little balls, you put them in the refrigerator, that coconut oil helps them solidify and keep them hard. In other words, it helps them hold together once it gets cold. Okay, I think I'm ready to start. Now, you could make great old big ones, or you could make the teeny tiny ones. It's just totally, that part will be just personal preference, up to you. I usually go for about, I don't know, I guess that's about the size of a nickel, something like that. And this recipe is so easy to whip up that you can, if you want more, you can make them pretty easily. They're so good. And as far as storing them, I like to store them just back in the refrigerator. And sometimes, if I'm lucky, they get pushed to the back of the refrigerator and they don't all get eat during Christmas. And then that gives me a sweet treat to have hidden in the refrigerator. Just one little bite, of sweetness. Got that chore done. I'm going to put those in the refrigerator so they can be hardening. I'm going to clean up my hands and clean up my mess, and then I'm going to start on the cookies. I've about got the cookies set up ready. I'm making me some colored sugar, but Matt's in here trying another praline. You think they're pretty good?
Gosh, yeah, I may end up trying all of them.
I may have to make some more.
Some things is real good.
Better leave room for some sugar cookies.
We're going to be able to eat supper.
I know.
My goodness, some things is good.
Ready to start my cookies. Corey's asking if she could help. I said, of course you can help. I've got another place for someone if they come and help. Katie's downstairs working on some last minute orders, so I'm not sure she'll get to come or not, but she might come up here for a cookie or two anyway. Once she smells them cooking, she'll probably come. I just made some really simple sugar to decorate them with. It seems like last year, Corey, do you remember last year, did we try painting them with milk to see if the sugar would stay on?
I can't remember if we did that or not.
Seems like we did, but I don't know. Got some extra flour in case we need it while we're rolling out. I think start out with none. Let's see. Yeah, looks like I'm gonna need some. Put some down. The orange smells so good, even just rolling the cookies out. You can smell the orange. I think that just makes the best sugar cookies. It just gives a real brightness. orange goes really well with Christmas too. So I have all kinds of cookie cutters, but I usually just use a bell, a star, and a tree. Usually the only ones I end up using. Got me some. I actually made 2 runs of this recipe. You might have noticed when I was showing my stuff, you may have thought, well, that looks like a whole lot more. It's because I made 2, knowing that we'll enjoy them. And the good thing about keeping the dough in the refrigerator, since you have to chill it, so that if we make these and I don't get to make the others today, that's chores already done as far as getting them to that step, and then I can make them another day and have fresh cookies for Christmas, during Christmas. Sugar cookies are good any time of the year, but for some reason I only make them at Christmas. Only time. Stars are my favorite shape, so I love those. See if I can do 2. Whoops, I chopped one of the things off. I think I'll just leave it. One of the points. Didn't mean to do that. Okay, you want to start decorating these for me?
Yeah.
And then we'll move it. We'll put them in the oven, and you can spread out right there.
Hey, we should tell Katie we're making these. She might
I'll tell her and see if she wants to come and help too.
She said she was coming.
Okay. The more the merrier.
Yeah.
Until y'all break into sideburns.
That was Katie who made that one year.
Seems like we did paint them with milk last year, but I mean, it's fine. Don't worry about it, but just say. You just press them down, press it down in there.
Okay.
I'm just adding some white to yours that you already did. I'll do some red. Of course, you can get all fancy with sugar cookies and do I love, if you ever watch those that, I don't know if Corey has either, where they paint that royal icing on.
Yeah.
And it's just so beautiful. It's like, how do you even stand to eat the
I wouldn't
cookie?
have the patience for that.
Oh, it's so mesmerizing though. There's channels or videos where you can just watch people just doing that little outlines, and then they fill them in, and they're so beautiful. And they use the little, I can't think of what they're called, little dots. Almost like pearls is what they remind me of, but there's a name for them in the candy world. It's not really pearls, but I can't think of it.
Fondant?
Yeah, well, I mean, there is fondant, but this is something
Specific.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think those look good. Let's put them in the oven and go on to the next ones. A little extra.
Yeah. Where am I going to stand?
You can come right here and take over where I'm at.
No, what about you?
I've done made a whole thing full, so y'all can take over the making here. Come over here. I need your little...
I just washed my hands.
I love my little baby rolling pin. A dear friend made it for me many years ago, and it's all one piece. Isn't that amazing?
That's
Just
cool.
beautiful. Yeah. Okay, there you go. And I'll keep a check on the cookies.
Hey, Mama. Okay. I think this is better this time. I don't know how you were doing this without rolling and crunching this paper. Mom.
Yeah, that's pretty difficult. I wonder if I could get you another. Might be easier to do it in a...
And I don't know what it is about this dough, but it's real breaky aparty. I can't do nothing to make it stay
Just
apart.
gotta knead
I've
it
just
a
kind of
few
had to
times.
knead mine.
Yeah.
Okay. Why is it dry?
Once you do this a few times, and that might be better. course, we probably should pull. Let's put a towel under it for you.
It's like I need some oil for this or something. Give me some olive oil.
You just need to it's cold. It's been in the refrigerator. Just warm it up a little bit, knead it a little bit, and then put it. Then it'll work.
See, it'll work. I'm getting mine to work. I'm having to kind of work with it, but
you might need
it'll
a
work.
little flour on there.
All right, that might be a little better. It feels more together.
All right, let's see. You need to go over rolling pin. You gotta put some half into it.
Well, I'm just.
You've got the strongest hands of anybody.
I know, and I usually go way too hard, and it's still, Lord. I'm gonna make this paper go away because I won't be able to stand here and do this.
I was putting this under it so it would.
Poor Mom, so Mom wouldn't have to clean up a mess.
No, I'll clean a towel under it so it wouldn't.
There we go.
That, just
That
so it wouldn't
right.
move around on
Still somehow managing to move on the paper, and I could hear that noise.
it. Yeah, I didn't like the noise.
It's driving me nuts. All right.
Y'all remember making cookies when you was little?
I remember that it always turned into a mess.
Yeah, and I always wondered why did I think this was great to do this, and then I'd forget by the next year though, and we'd do it all again. It was
Aw.
fun. It was fun. It was just
Mom's like, this was horrible. I
no,
hate you do.
it was just you know, anything you do with kids is harder. I mean, because they're not going at your speed, and then they make a big mess. But it's all worth it. It's all, I mean, it's good to spend time with them and they have to learn. That's how they learn.
That's right. That's right. Let me see this baby. Corey's hands like that, that's exactly like Miss Cindy, the way you're just doing your hands. That's exactly how she would have done that.
Is it?
Yes, there's something about the way you did that just made me straight up think her. Something about how you use your hands reminds me a lot of her. Let's try that one again. I don't reckon how I use my hands reminds me of nobody. I don't even think my hands look
I think
like...
my hands are like Granny's.
Yeah, your hands look like Granny's. And I think Corey's hands look a lot like Miss Cindy's, but who do
You
my
want me to
hands
help?
look like?
Yeah, I can't make it work.
I was doing real good for a while, and then I got a little... Mama, who do my hands look like?
I don't know.
I think they look like, if they look like anybody's, they look like Daddy's, is what I think. My hands are slightly swelled and puffy right now, so please nobody look close. I'm gonna zoom in on it.
Just kind of have to gently. It's a fragile dough.
Yeah. That's good though. You made it look good, Mama. Now I do the bell. Huh? I do the bell. The bell. Thank you. Mine do look puffy. Because I'm hot and I put this sweater on thinking I'll be cold and then I get hot.
I can't wait to try the first one.
You know what I like better than I like any of it's the dough.
The dough.
I like it better than I like the finished cookie.
I think these are extra special, well, they're special because we make them and because it's the recipe Granny used, but that little bit of orange really just sets them, gives a brightness to them somehow. You want to taste the first one?
Yeah. Break me off a piece of that.
Looks like Christmas.
Break me off a piece. Hand me a cookie, Daddy. Oh, Lord, it's hot.
Here.
I got one.
No, you got one.
Ooh. It's good. You want it back?
Tastes like Christmas.
It does taste like Christmas. Oh, I've heard that there was food.
Makes you wonder why we don't do it other times of the year. But then maybe it wouldn't be as special.
Maybe not, I don't know. There you go.
Y'all want to decorate those and I'll pop them in.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, did I take that away from you?
I
Sorry.
don't care. I'll put some red on this star for you.
I didn't want my star to be red.
Sorry.
Just kidding.
Want some yellows. Alright, you back for another cookie? Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay. Let me put these in the oven, and I think just about one more will get this bunch of dough.
It's a little thick.
It is a little thick.
Can I leave it?
I don't care.
Will it cook?
I better leave this slice bit for Corey, or I'm gonna end up doing it all.
That star was more like Patrick with starfish. It was kind of funky.
All right, Corey, you can come back to your. I'm about done all of it. What are you doing? Is that like a sideburn?
Mhm.
Wouldn't be Christmas without a sideburn, would it?
Sideburn cookie.
I guess there's two more.
Just one more.
Those look like your daddy's sideburns.
Sideburn cookie. Kind of does. What are you doing? Nothing? Let's see.
You're gonna get elaborate, huh?
Yep.
One round one. We used to have some little, I think some little stamp kind of cookie cutters. I mean, they were stamps instead of cutters, and we used to use those. Or maybe that was me and Paul. Y'all.
Wait a second, maybe that was me and Paul.
When you get older, your mind gets mixed up with what was your kids and what was you when you were a kid.
Is it bad that my mind's like already messed? It's like already does not know. But it's always, I don't know if that's my memory or Corey's. Or it's, I don't know if that happened or I dreamed it.
I gotta decorate all those up.
Or I will if you want.
No, I don't mind to. I'm just kind of laughing at myself. Thank you.
Pretty sideburns, yes.
Yeah. They're very festive sideburns. I think they're cool.
We are. I think you got a paper towel on.
Oh, yeah, that's part of this
That's
paper
right.
towel. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have paper towel cookies. I'm gonna put it for you. Ah! I think this one needs maybe a little bit of wet. Alright. I'll be washing my hands.
Oh, y'all got them done. Good. You think we should wait for the other, don't you think?
I think we
for
should.
next week and have fresh
Yeah.
ones? Okay. Alright, but I'm just going to put my little sugars in a... That one's about gone. I might just be able to mix those together and then put a lid on these and save them for next week, don't you think?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
Thank you for helping.
Thank you for letting us.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me help, Wadey.
We got all the cookies made. We've eat way too many of them too. They're so good. Corey's sweeping up for me. Even though we're grown-ups, Corey and Katie are grown-ups now, I can't even make sugar cookies without dropping sugar in the floor. So she's sweeping up for me. I melted my chocolate. This is my last thing I'm going to make today. And I have my coconut balls. I got them out of the refrigerator. So now I'm just going to drop them in there and swirl them around. And you can see how they, if I drop one, how that coconut oil really solidifies the ball back, even though it was so squishy when I was actually forming them. And then I've just got some parchment paper out that I'm going to set them on till the chocolate hardens back. This is a really easy candy, not as easy as the ones I shared in my last video, those haystacks. That's the easiest ever. I had an easy fudge recipe too I shared, that this was the first year that I made it. I learned how to make it from Jim Cassaday. It's in mine and Jim's cookbook. And I had never made it before, and as soon as I seen it in the cookbook, I was like, I gotta try that. And then I finally found time to try it during the holidays. It was really good too, and really easy. So there are a lot of easy candy recipes out there. There are ones that are more complicated, like the pralines, but there's some easy ones too. And I had somebody ask me, said, well, why was that in your cookbook? I thought you tried all the recipes. Well, that's the wonderful thing with me doing it with Jim. He put his family recipes that they adored in there, that they've made for years and years, and then I did the same. So I've not necessarily made all of his, although I'm working on it. And he's not necessarily made all of mine either. But we both made them enough to know how good they are. It's more of the kind of recipes that's just tried and true that your family makes a lot. Seems like every family comes up with some favorites. And if you're like me, they change over the years. Sometimes I'll think about something that I used to make all the time, and I think, why did I quit making that? You know, I haven't made that in ages. It seems like you go through stages like that. Corey really likes these little coconut balls too, like I do. I think the first year I found the recipe and made them, it was me and Corey that was wanting them.
Yeah, I think so.
I've told the story before, but I'll tell it, that when the girls were in elementary school, one year I always tried to volunteer and help and do whatever I could at school. And one year at Christmas I was helping, and one of the lunchroom ladies who had, basically known me since I was born, she said, come in here, I've got something, come back here. And I went back there in the lunchroom, and she said, see if you like this. And she gave me a coconut ball. It was the best coconut ball I'd ever ate in my life. And she said her daughter made them every Christmas. It was so good. And after that, I was like on the hunt for making one that was as good as that one. I should have just asked her for the recipe, but I never did. Anyway, I'd make them, and they were okay, but I never found one I really loved until I found this one. And again, I'll put that link in the description below where I found it, and you can go read everything they say about it. But I think Corey likes it as much as I do.
I love anything coconut, and I like chocolate.
Yeah, it's hard to beat coconut and chocolate. I run out of room here.
I bet if you put these in peppermint chocolate that had been melted, that would probably be good.
I've not made them in years, but another one that Granny made, thinking of chocolate like this, is she would make what we call Buckeyes, which was peanut butter on the inside. They're really
I
good.
like that.
Yeah,
chocolate and peanut butter, of course.
Yeah, seems like Granny put wax in her chocolate to make it glossy or something. I don't know. Seems weird now, but seems like she did.
Yeah,
Her recipe's probably in that little blue book.
probably.
I guess this is like a Mounds candy bar.
Yeah, I think so.
You like those?
Oh yeah.
It's not as good as this though. Okay, I think we're gonna have some more. Okay, the last one. I had to get me some more chocolate. Those are gonna be tasty. I have a little bit of chocolate left. I'm thinking about what I could put in it. Sometimes I just pour it out and let it solidify and then break it up and put it back in the bag. That's probably what I should do. Probably what I'll do. I made a mess as usual. Let's see if I can do that right here. Scoot that one over. Got a little bit too much, but not too much. I don't want to waste it though. When that dries, I'll just break it up and put it in a little bag and use it again, or just snack on it, one or the other. We're going to taste one of these that's, have we about tasted too much?
I want one, but I'm almost full.
Let's cut it in half. Let's see. It's not really firm yet, but I could try. It's not really firm yet, but.
It's still really good though.
That might be the best thing I've made all day.
I think so.
So good.
Pretty good.
I'm really a fan of chocolate though, and of coconut. Very, very good. Very good. But the cookies are good, and they have all that nostalgia to them. And then the pralines do too, though, because I've been making them for so long. Long time. I think we got everything made except Corey's rolls. We're always glad when you stop by to visit with us, and we hope that you enjoyed seeing some of our favorite Christmas traditions, like the cookies, and those go all the way back to my childhood, but even the coconut balls I think of like in high school. Was you in high school maybe? And then the pralines back to when Corey and Katie were just little girls riding in the buggy at
Fun
Bilo's.
stuff.
Yeah. We're always glad for you to help us celebrate Appalachia.